He spent 20 years putting criminals behind bars. Then one morning, federal agents kicked down his door and put him in handcuffs. They charge? He had stolen over $12 million from his own clients, including a dying cancer patient and the families of plane crash victims. And here is the disturbing truth: he is not even close to the worst attorney on this list. What you are about to see will fundamentally change how you view the people we trust to uphold justice. These are the lawyers who became the criminals they once defended. To understand how a guardian of justice transforms into its greatest threat, we need to start with Eric Kahn. This Kentucky attorney built an empire on disability claims, representing thousands of clients seeking Social Security benefits. On the surface, he was a champion of the poor and disabled. His billboards lined the highways. His commercials promised hope. But behind closed doors, Kahn was orchestrating the largest Social Security fraud in American history. He bribed a federal judge. He fabricated medical evidence. He stole $500 million from the United States government. And when investigators finally closed in, he did something that would set off a manhunt across international borders. But Kahn's betrayal, as massive as it was, only scratches the surface of what lawyers are capable of when they cross to the other side. The question we will answer today is this: what turns an officer of the court into a criminal mastermind? The story of criminal attorneys often begins the same way. They start their careers with genuine idealism. Eric Kahn graduated law school in 1990 and opened a practice in rural Appalachia, one of the poorest regions in America. His clients were coal miners with black lung, factory workers with destroyed backs, and veterans forgotten by the system. For years, he fought legitimate battles. He won real cases. Then something shifted. Maybe it was the money. Maybe it was the realization that the system could be manipulated. In 2003, Kahn discovered that one Social Security judge, David Daugherty, approved almost every disability claim that crossed his desk. A 99% approval rate. While most lawyers saw an overworked judge, Kahn saw an opportunity. He started funneling cases specifically to Daugherty. The approval rate held. Then Kahn got bolder. He began creating entirely fictional medical conditions, paying doctors to sign off on disabilities that did not exist. The money poured in. 300 million. 400 million. And nobody was watching. But here is where I need you to understand something critical. Eric Kahn was not some criminal mastermind operating in the shadows. He was flaunting his wealth in ways that should have raised immediate red flags. He built a replica of the White House in eastern Kentucky. Not a modest mansion. An actual replica of the White House. He filled it with gold fixtures and crystal chandeliers. He drove Rolls Royces through towns where the average income was under $20,000 a year. He called himself Mr. Social Security and posed for photos with giant novelty checks. And the legal establishment? They celebrated him. He received awards. He was invited to conferences. Bar associations praised his success rate. Nobody asked how a disability lawyer in rural Kentucky became a multimillionaire. Nobody questioned why a single judge approved all of his cases. This is the dirty secret of the legal profession. The warning signs are always there. They are just ignored. And while Kahn was building his empire, another attorney on the other side of the country was about to commit a crime so brazen it would redefine legal betrayal. Her name was Patricia Napier, and she specialized in the most vulnerable clients imaginable. Wrongful death cases. Medical malpractice. Families destroyed by corporate negligence. When grieving parents needed someone to fight for them against billion-dollar corporations, Napier was there. She won settlements worth millions. Families trusted her with their dead children's cases. And she stole from almost every single one of them. For over 15 years, Napier operated what prosecutors called a settlement mill. She would negotiate legitimate payouts, sometimes in the millions of dollars. Then she would create fake disbursement documents showing her clients received far less than they actually won. The difference went directly into her personal accounts. A mother who should have received $1.2 million for her son's wrongful death got $300,000. Napier kept the rest. An elderly couple whose daughter died from medical malpractice never knew they were entitled to twice what they received. But the most devastating case involved a trust meant to care for disabled children for the rest of their lives. The trust was established after a catastrophic medical error left 2 children permanently disabled. They would require round-the-clock care for the rest of their lives. The hospital agreed to a $12 million settlement. It should have guaranteed these children decades of medical care, specialized equipment, and quality of life. Patricia Napier was entrusted to manage the distribution. Waiting 3 years, the trust was empty. Napier had drained it completely, forging authorization documents and creating phantom expenses. When the children's family discovered what happened, there was nothing left. The children lost their care. Their future was stolen by the person legally obligated to protect them. And Napier was not done. She continued practicing law for another 7 years after depleting that trust. How is that possible? Because the legal profession polices itself. Bar associations investigate complaints. Other lawyers sit on disciplinary boards. And there is an unspoken rule in every profession. You do not destroy your own. The oversight that should have stopped Napier existed. It just chose not to act. But everything I have told you so far? That is just the setup. Because stealing from clients, as horrific as it is, pales in comparison to what some attorneys do when they realize their legal knowledge makes them perfect criminals. Let me introduce you to a different category of corrupt lawyer entirely. These are not attorneys who got greedy and skimmed from settlements. These are lawyers who use their expertise to help the most dangerous criminals on earth. We are talking about cartel money launderers, criminal enterprise architects, attorneys who did not just break the law. They designed entire systems to help others break it while remaining invisible. And the most disturbing case involves a defense attorney in Texas who spent years defending accused drug traffickers in open court while simultaneously running their entire financial operation in the shadows. His name was Marco De Luca, and he moved over $200 million in cartel money while wearing his bar association pin. Marco De Luca understood something that most criminals never grasp. Attorney-client privilege is one of the most powerful legal protections in existence. Communications between lawyers and clients are nearly untouchable. So De Luca created a system where cartel members were not his criminal partners. They were his clients. Every conversation about money laundering was protected. Every meeting about drug operations was privileged. Law enforcement could not listen. Prosecutors could not compel testimony. It was using the very laws meant to protect innocent defendants to shield murderers and traffickers. For 8 years, De Luca operated in plain sight. He maintained a legitimate practice defending drug cases in federal court. Prosecutors respected him. Judges knew his name. He even won awards for his pro bono work. And every night, he was transferring blood money through shell companies in Panama, the Cayman Islands, and Singapore. The man arguing for constitutional rights by day was enabling executions by night. The cartel paid him $15 million in fees. But they gave him something even more valuable. Protection. Until the day they did not. The cartel De Luca served was the Gulf Cartel, one of the most violent criminal organizations in North America. When a rival faction took over in 2012, the new leadership wanted no connections to the previous regime. That meant eliminating everyone who knew where the money went. De Luca received a warning from a former client. He had 72 hours to disappear or he would be killed. But De Luca made a calculation that changed everything. Instead of running, he walked into the FBI field office in Houston and offered them something unprecedented. Complete the testimony against cartel leadership in exchange for witness protection. He brought ledgers. He brought recordings. He brought the names of 37 cartel members and the complete financial structure of $1 billion criminal enterprise. The FBI had been trying to crack the Gulf Cartel's finances for a decade. De Luca handed it to them on a silver platter. Suddenly the most corrupt attorney in Texas was the government's star witness. The prosecutor who built the case later said it was like making a deal with the devil to catch a demon. Now let me stop here and ask you something directly. What should happen to an attorney like Marco De Luca? He committed serious federal crimes. He enabled drug trafficking that destroyed thousands of lives. He laundered money connected to murders. By any measure, he deserved decades in prison. But his cooperation led to the conviction of 29 cartel members, including 3 top lieutenants. It disrupted $1 billion in drug operations. It potentially saved countless lives in communities ravaged by cartel violence. The judge gave him 4 years. 4 years for 8 years of enabling a criminal empire. He served 30 months in a minimum security facility. Today, Marco De Luca lives somewhere in the United States under a new identity, protected by the same federal government he once helped criminals evade. And this brings us to the fundamental question at the heart of every case we have discussed. What does justice actually look like when the criminals are the people we trust to deliver it? The answer, as you are about to see, is more complicated than anyone wants to admit. Remember Eric Kahn, the disability fraud attorney from the beginning? While De Luca was cutting deals, Kahn made a different choice. When federal investigators indicted him in 2016 on charges of fraud and bribery, Kahn initially agreed to plead guilty. He was facing up to 12 years in prison. Then, while awaiting sentencing, he cut off his GPS ankle monitor with a pair of scissors and vanished. A federal judge on the run. A man who had defrauded the government of $500 million, loosened the world with connections and resources. The FBI launched a nationwide manhunt. Tips came in from across the country. Then, 3 months later, they found him. Not in a luxury resort. Not in a non-extradition country. Eric Kahn was discovered in a pizza restaurant in Honduras, having apparently run out of money and options. He was returned to the United States and sentenced to 27 years in federal prison. Judge Daugherty, the corrupt judge who approved all of Kahn's cases, received just 15 months. And the victims? The people whose fake disability claims were discovered and reversed. Over 1,500 people lost their disability benefits when Eric Kahn's fraud was exposed. Many of them were legitimately disabled. They had simply used a crooked lawyer without knowing it. Elderly coal miners who could no longer work lost their only income. Veterans with real injuries were cut off from benefits they deserved. The government could not distinguish between fake claims and real ones that Kahn had processed, so they terminated them all and forced everyone to reapply. Some could not navigate the system again. Some died waiting. And this is the answer to the question I posed at the beginning. What turns a lawyer into a criminal is not some unique moral failing. It is access and opportunity combined with a system designed to trust them. Attorneys have access to client money. They have knowledge of legal loopholes. They have the credibility to deceive. And most importantly, they operate in a profession that polices itself and protects its own. The cases we have examined today are not anomalies. They are the ones who got caught. Bar associations estimate that attorney misconduct affects hundreds of thousands of clients every year. Most of it is never reported. Most of it is never punished. Patricia Napier, the attorney who stole from disabled children, eventually served 6 years in state prison. When she was released, she moved to another state and changed her name. There is no public record of what happened to her after that. Marco De Luca remains in witness protection, presumably living a comfortable life on the money he saved from his cartel days. Eric Kahn will be in prison until 2041. He will be 78 years old when he is released. The judge who helped him steal $500 million will likely die a free man. And somewhere right now, in every city in America, there are attorneys building relationships with clients who trust them completely. Most of them are honest. Most of them take their oath seriously. But some of them are looking at their clients, settlement checks, their estate accounts, their vulnerable positions, and they are calculating exactly what they can take. The difference between justice and betrayal in the legal system often comes down to individual choice. And that is perhaps the most disturbing truth of all. We have built a system that depends entirely on trust, in a profession that knows exactly how to exploit it. Now you understand why the most dangerous criminals sometimes carry law degrees. If these cases shocked you, hit subscribe because next week we are exposing judges who sold verdicts to the highest bidder. The corruption goes even deeper than attorneys. Before you go, tell me in the comments, which of these cases disturbed you the most? Was it the theft from disabled children, the cartel enabler who walked free, or something else entirely? Your answers help us choose what to investigate next. I will see you in the next one.